um, being in that state of gratitude, what it does is when you express gratitude, our brain releases dopamine and releases serotonin, which are two important neurotransmitters that are responsible for emotion and our mood. So different parts of your brain light up when you express gratitude. One is the medial frontal cortex, which manages your negative emotions. So a lot of people are walking around with these negative emotions, and when you express gratitude, it kind of drops that part of your brain.
And welcome everybody back to It's More Than Black or White. It's your boys. You know the names. It's the first time that you're joining us. Well, my name is Paul, and
My name is Brian.
Hey.
Hey.
So listen, if you've been following the podcast episodes, first of all, thank you. And second of all, we are appreciating the feedback. We'd love for you to leave comments. Let us know your thoughts on some things. And I'm thinking that what we could start doing is like starting to comment and like maybe have like a section of live type of thing we could do where we answer some of the questions going forward about some of the things you're hearing in the podcast as a way to really get connected. Our point, like our thing with what we're doing here is we really want to provide you with options and perspectives on some of the things that you're most likely seeing out in the world. And may have interest and wonders about how the hell we integrate this thing. Like, yeah, it's very interesting. So, B, what are we talking about today, man?
Talking about a little gratitude, man. Not that airy-fairy shit, man. Like gratitude.
Gratitude.
What it means. We're going to talk about how it recircuits brain neural pathways in your brain, the science behind it. A lot of people think it's like airy-fairy. Oh, I'm just, grateful for this. Hashtag being grateful. Hashtag spiritual. All that BS out there. But what it actually does when you actually apply it with heart, with brain, with emotion, how it changes your brain chemistry, neuroplasticity, all that goody stuff.
Yeah, the goody stuff, not the wooey stuff.
Exactly.
And I think it's also key that what we're going to go over today is what it can really look like applying gratitude. What it can really look like when you're in those times when you're like, life freaking sucks right now, or like I'm pissed off. What are the ways that you can apply gratitude and what can it look like? So let's look at, Brian, I'm a word geek, man. So I'm like always looking at the words and like where it came from. So when I looked up gratitude, when we first started prepping for this, I was like, what the heck does it mean? The actual definition. So the definition is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for, and to return kindness. Now, this also comes from the Latin gratis, which gratis is basically the meaning of thankful or pleasing. I want us to remember that word, pleasing. Okay, that's going to come in. That's going to make sense later. So, Brian, when we were going through this, one of the things that I was that really when you dropped in the notes about the neurological experience, I really was fascinated with that. And I want to, before we dive into it, B, I want to ask you, man, and I'll share as well. Like, what does gratitude mean for you, though? Like, we heard the definition, but what does it mean for you, bro?
Yeah, it's like I'm just going to sound like a broken record. Just for me, it means being thankful and appreciative towards things. Yeah. And it's not only that it has to have like good things that happen to you for you to have gratitude. So, we both, been around for a while. Every bad thing that's ever happened to us in life, after a while, you look back and you're like, that was actually a blessing in disguise. Every terrible thing that's ever happened to me, I look back and I'm like, I'm glad that it's happened. I didn't notice it at that time. So being grateful in good and bad times is even more important.
Yeah.
You gotta look at the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Definitely puts things in perspective, I guess.
I dig it, man.
So things don't always have to be sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns to show gratitude.
It's so true. And I've always looked at gratitude, like I've seen it as, yes, being thankful. And I've also started to look at it as, what's the gift in this? Like, what is the gift in this? Because like you mentioned it, like there's been times in my life, and like you and I have connected, there's been times in your life too where it's just like, damn, this is rough. And being able to look at things and be like, well, yeah, this is rough. And what could be the gift in this?
Yeah.
Right. And
We talked about this in a previous episode that
yeah,
we are hardwired to succeed. The universe wants us to succeed.
yeah,
So
bro.
when things go shitty, there's a reason that they're going shitty. It's either, it's a wake up call, it's getting you ready for the next thing that's going to be really good. It's clearing out all the BS in your life sometimes that you don't even recognize it, but the universe always got a plan. The universe is way smarter than us. you know,
Mhm.
we're too much in our five senses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's so true, bro. Because like like the unseen, right? They'll say in
Hmm.
shamanism and a lot of these ancient texts, it has a sense and a wisdom that's deeper than what we can
Yes.
understand in this realm, right? And people are like, what they talk? What I thought this wasn't gonna be some woo woo shit.
Hmm.
It's listen, we're talking here, like like this is some realness. And like when we talk about, as Brian and I are explaining this, one of the things that's really interesting about gratitude, when I was looking some stuff up, Brian, like I noticed there was a phrase that was saying basically like by starting to be grateful, we start to have a positive recall. So it starts to really help us to be able to pull in some of the good things or some of the, and I'll be free of labeling it good or bad. I'm just going to say it'll pull up the things that can help us move forward through a
Mm.
situation.
Yes.
And I think when we talked about the neuroscience of it, like I think that's an important thing for people to understand, that is beyond like what people are saying, like, it's just important to be grateful and but like can you give a little insight into the neuroscience and basically like the brain science of the concept of gratitude,
Yeah. So like on a neurological level, you got neurological level, you got social levels, you got physical levels that gratitude can all be what's the word I'm looking for? I guess beneficial for. So on
man?
the neurological level, when you show gratitude, you have more positive emotion, your enhanced mood, as well as cognitive health. Like you can think clearer, you learn different things, and more important than learning different things, you can actually retain it. You remember the information. People learn things all the time, but they're such in a fight or flight that they can't retain that information. Gratitude kind of puts you back in a parasympathetic state of mind. Parasympathetic as far as like rest and digest or put the brakes on, as well as an increase in happiness and decrease in depression. So
Yeah.
one thing I like about um, being in that state of gratitude, what it does is when you express gratitude, our brain releases dopamine and releases serotonin, which are two important neurotransmitters that are responsible for emotion and our mood.
Yeah.
So different parts of your brain light up when you express gratitude. One is the medial frontal cortex, which manages your negative emotions. So a lot of people are walking
Mhm.
around with these negative emotions, and when you express gratitude, it kind of drops that part of your brain and it brings up another part of your brain, which is like the part that you have like this neural cluster of serotonin neurons, which
Yeah.
is called your raphe. And the serotonin is your feel good hormone. So as your serotonin goes up, it's almost like a seesaw. So when you have this state of gratitude, your serotonin goes up, your feel good hormone goes up, you're on cloud nine. And at the same time, the negative emotions, they drop down. That part of your brain, the medial frontal cortex, which is like your fear, anxiety, your depression, that's where all these things come from, the negative emotions. So that's another very important part.
It's wild, man. Like as you're saying this, what's coming up is choice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's helping me recall something I was reading. I had the name here written down in the notes. All right, so and I thought this was brilliant. So there's this woman, Nancy Davis Co or Cho, like KHO. She wrote a book called The Thank You Project: Cultivating Happiness One Letter of Gratitude at a Time. And what I thought was really interesting in what she said was that like when she like her whole concept was like she wrote 50 letters. She came up with a list of 50 people that she could send letters out to. And she noticed that when she, like, at first she had difficulty, right? It was difficult for she perceived there's going to be difficulty finding the names. Yet once she got it and she started writing the letters, she noticed that a positive effect took over her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really interesting because, like, even as you're talking and you're talking about the ability to manage negative emotions, I think being able to step into a choice of saying, well, like, hey, you know what? Well, I'm going to think something, right? Like, I'm like, it's interesting because I even like, I know that there's gratitude journals, right? And
Yeah.
like this thing of, what's something I'm grateful for today? What's something I was grateful for today? Doing that right before you go to bed. And I'm noticing, like, and from what you're saying, I'm like, damn, man, this is interesting because that sets up a different space for the person to
Yes.
really be like, well, damn, what am I grateful for? And, another word that you can use instead of grateful is, what do you appreciate?
Sure.
Right? Like, what's something that you appreciate? Who's something that you appreciate? Because, like, from a neuroscience, like from that brain science perspective, like, what are the, like, did it get into the impacts of practicing gratitude? Like, is it like you said, serotonin increase? Like, was that what you said? Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Um, because, like, I'm even looking at that as, like, what, like, how, like, it can impact so many different things, like, even physically, right? So, like, immune
Sure.
health, right?
Yeah.
Heart
Big
health,
time.
right?
Yeah. So you have a stronger immune system, a stronger cardiovascular system. You have less pain. Neuroimaging data, the neurological data look at things like inflammatory markers, like your C reactive protein, your CRP marker. That's one of the major markers for looking for inflammation. When you express gratitude, that part of your brain lights up and actually shows that your C reactive protein, that inflammatory marker, it lowers.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's when your CRP levels are really high, your immune system drops. So again, you got like that inverse relationship or that seesaw battle between CRP and your immune system.
See, that's powerful. That's
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Um, because, like, even as it's wild, man. Like, so as you said that, something that it brought me back to is uh, like, when I was recovering from the hip surgeries.
Hmm.
I remember, man, like, when I was first walking outside, I was so freaking thankful that I was able to walk without pain. And, like, whatever discomfort I was experiencing, I could remember it would leave me. It was like the pain would subside. And I was like,
Yes.
wow, that's freaking fascinating. I just remember I was like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not even hurting right now.
Hmm. I was watching a video. I forgot where I was watching. I think it was like a TED talk, and this
Hmm.
woman, she was having a bad. She was away like in like some third world country, and she had this bad toothache. I don't know if you ever had a bad toothache, but that
Yes.
is one of the worst feelings you can ever have.
Bro, it's horrible.
And
It's horrible.
she couldn't get to a dentist until the next morning, and it was like 12 hours she was waiting there, and it was like excruciating. Where she was like she couldn't move, it was debilitating, and the only thing she can think of to try to fix anything was because she had no access to any Tylenol or any medicine like that was being grateful. So she was trying to find things that she can be grateful for. Like, I'm grateful for, she was saying, I have all my teeth. I have good health. I have enough. I'm blessed that I'm actually have the money and the job to travel around the world and meet all these people. And so she was taking all this gratitude in. And she said slowly over time, within an hour, all her pain disappeared. And so she kind of pulled through that. And I was like, man, I gotta try that next time. Like,
Really?
when like, something like aches on me or I hurt myself or something like that. I gotta try being grateful for the things that we're not looking in that moment.
Yo, for a toothache, an hour's a long time. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for some Tylenol. I'm grateful for some
Yeah.
fixing pain relief.
Mhm.
But you know what? Like, so this it's interesting, man, because this is one of those things. Like when Brian and I were talking about this, we both were like, we wanted to be outside having a conversation about this, especially the science of this. We wanted to be outside of the traditional, like, airy fairy, like, express gratitude. There's validity to what these people, what when you see those videos, there's validity to what they're saying. The key piece is that we're all a network, okay? And what we begin to tell ourselves, we become. So if we start saying, like, I am actually grateful for this because, like, Brian, you said it. I'm grateful for this because, I got money I got all my teeth.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for this because, like, my body's communicating with me. I'm
Mhm.
grateful for this because, like, oh my gosh, I learned something from this. Right.
Yes.
And again, this is a choice. Like, if people are like, man, forget you, cats, then you're probably one of those cats that will choose to wallow in your doo-doo and
Hmm.
soil pampers and shit.
Yep. The poor me attitude, you know?
Yeah, the woe is me. Like, so it's like it's one of the powerful things. Like, and I think this is also part of gratitude when there's a reframe of, like, when, like, for example, when I'm mentoring people and I hear them say, like, why is this happening to me?
Mm.
And I'm like, do me a favor. And this is a very interesting practice. And I want, as you're hearing this, I want, if you're watching this and you find yourself saying this, I invite you to take a moment. If you ever hear yourself saying, like, why is this happening to me? Like, like, dude, I've been there with my lights cut off, my freaking, I've said that phrase when they repoed my car back in the day. Like, why are they doing this to me? Why, you mother who, bring my car back? You know what I'm like? When I switch that and I start to look at, like, well, what's the reason this is happening for me? Well, hey, man, it lets you know you overextended, man. It gave you a lesson.
Yep. Yep.
It gave me a lesson. I'm just going to speak for myself.
Yeah.
So there's a choice and there's a neurological impact in perceiving things in another way.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, like the psychology behind it. You caught my attention off the reframing because as I was doing research for this podcast,
Yeah.
I saw something about resilience and gratitude. So when you have gratitude, it can provide resilience in trauma in two ways. It can provide reframing of prior trauma
Yep.
and inoculating, or in other words, being immune to something, then in many ways to the future traumas by shifting the way your fear networks work in your brain. So basically, when you have gratitude and something bad happens later on in your life, you become
Yeah.
more inoculated to it. You're just like, whatever. I'll get through it. I've been through it before. It's fine.
There
And you're
it is.
reframing everything. And then you realize too, like the first part is all the stuff that's happening in your past, you like it's setting you, it's good. It's setting you up. You have a different mindset with it because
Yes.
the universe has got your back. People live too much in the past, they live too much in the future, man.
Yes, it's so true though. Well, see, and again, this is what I'm fascinated with this because I read some things similar about that resiliency piece and building stronger connections. And
Mm,
you hit on it because as soon as, if I'm in a situation, and people, please hear this when we're talking about it, when you're in the situation that seems the most dire, you even beginning to chip away at even just something that you appreciate or that you're thankful for in this situation starts the process of building a bigger neural pathway to being being able to see something different when you get into some doo-doo situation.
yeah, and that's the
When you
biggest
get,
step. That's the first step in becoming more emotionally stable, emotionally mature on a spiritual level, because it's hard
yes,
to be
man,
great. It's hard to be grateful during adversity, right? So
bro.
at least, like, I mean, if something bad happens to you, you don't have to be like grateful right away. First step is just be aware of it. Be aware of it. Be aware of gratitude, and be like, all right, I need a let's I'm gonna put this in the back burner. I'm gonna do it later, but at least you're aware of it. I think that to me, it's a huge first step.
Huge. And I think what's really interesting as we're talking about this is that awareness piece is huge because again, all of life is a perception. All of life is a perception, and when it comes down to it, whether you agree or not, like what the reality is every experience that we experience in life is a learning experience. Okay, I could say, "Oh God, this sucks." Yeah, okay, yeah, it may suck, and I guarantee that by the time you
Mm-hmm.
look at this a day or so later, you're like, "Yo, man, I'm happy I went through that."
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. Like I said before, every bad thing, like I made a list of like a couple of years ago, I made a list of like probably 10 or 12 like bad things that have happened to me in my life, bad.
yeah,
And I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad all these things happened. Like I'm in such a better place. If these things didn't happen, like I'd be miserable by now.
it's
You don't you
true,
don't
man.
you don't appreciate it right now. You don't
Dude,
appreciate it in the moment. Because again, it's hard to be grateful during adversity. Because we're stuck in these five senses.
dude, let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, man. Adversity is a great teacher, and the gratitude is a great, um, like adversity is a. I'll put it to you this way. I'm gonna reframe this. Adversity is a great environment, and gratitude is a supreme teacher.
That's
Okay,
it.
it's what it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
look, I could want to take credit for making the rules, yet like I didn't make them. But it's fascinating because, and this comes back to Brian, you and I have had several conversations around the brain chemistry and brain works,
Mm.
and I think it's very interesting that that we're bringing the gratitude part into this and starting to build new pathways, new brain pathways to have stronger resiliency to or stronger connection to being grateful. And I
Yeah.
see this as like, listen, if you're looking to live a better life, and this is one of the reasons why you're gonna see everyone like, hey, have you been grateful for something? You know what? And there may be some times you want to be like, I wish you would shut the hell up with this gratitude bull crap.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a reason that they're saying this because I'm gonna give you an example. Every time before I eat, I give thanks. Okay, every time before I eat, I give thanks. What's the reason, Paul? I'm glad you asked. Because you know what? I'm grateful that I have food to eat. It could be like even when I'm budgeting and I'm saving my money and I'm like, well, I maxed the budget. I guess I'm having a bowl of rice. Guess what? I'm grateful for every single freaking grain of rice. For people that are vegetarian, hold your ears. If I'm having a burger or a piece of chicken,
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for the bird, man. I'm grateful for the cow because, like, yo, you know what? Thank you. I'm
Yes.
eating because of your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
bro?
Yeah. It's
Hey,
funny because Paul Check back in the day, like that guy eats only organic. He eats only good
mm,
stuff. He's like, sometimes I'm in conferences where I'm teaching 12, 15 hours and I don't have time to eat organic. So I will eat. And he measures his food with like dowsing, where he used to do it. Now he's probably more in tune. I don't know. For those who don't know what dowsing is, basically you have like a pendulum and you can put it over food. All food has energy, and the thing will actually start rotating. It'll go like clockwise, like you hang like a
yeah.
pendulum from a string, and the more it rotates, the more energy it has. So what he would do is he would say like find like a piece of like Purdue chicken or some crap chicken that's been like tortured and like killed in inhumane ways, and
Yeah.
it would feed with like antibiotics, soy, and all this other BS, and he would put the douse over the chicken, and the thing would even move. It would just be like dead. It was like no energy in it. Then he would start talking to almost like thanking the chicken, like the soul of the chicken, being like, "Thank you for this. I'm sorry that you went through all
Mm.
this all this inhumane way of dying and living, but I promise the energy that you give me out of this, I will convert it and I'll bring it to the world and on the energy and then the information that you have, and I'm going to spread it to try to like help more chickens out or just make a more humane place for animals to live." And he would actually notice the dowsing would start moving. It was wild, and they've done a lot of studies off this. They've
Bro,
done a lot of studies off this. And this ain't woo woo. This is like you can measure energy fields.
this is real. This is some Dr. Emoto stuff, bro.
Yeah. Yes. The
This
water
is
one,
Dr.
the water
Emoto.
guy.
So for people that have yet to understand, who have yet to know who Dr. Emoto is, he did a test on water and I think it was rice, where he put water and rice in these containers and he labeled it with like good positive words and
Hmm.
negative words. Like you're trash, like he had something like you're trash, or like you're golden. And they, over time, the consistency and the structure of those things shifted.
Hmm.
So the things with the negative stuff, it rotted. Things with
Yeah.
the positive stuff flourished. Dude,
Mhm.
like, look, we're all vibration, right? And this is beyond woo woo. If you look into Hermetic principles and the Kabbalion, this is one of the universal laws. Everything vibrates. Everything has a certain frequency. When I'm operating out of negativity, I'm operating on a lower frequency.
Mhm.
And negativity doesn't mean like you're a piece of shit. It's just negativity could be
Yeah.
like, I'll never get out of this.
Yeah.
This is the worst situation ever. And this is, Bride,
Hmm.
you already know this is common language cats
Yeah.
have.
Yes. Yeah.
What are
They
you
actually
talking
did a study that I forgot the guy. What's his name? Homodo or
Emoto, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Himoto. And he had a study where they would take two jars, they put water, same water, in two mason jars. And
Yeah.
on one jar, they would put like, they would have like tape over the jar and they would write like love, gratitude, and they would show emotion to that jar. And on the other one would be like hate, anger,
Yep.
prejudice. And they would show emotion, put that hate, anger, prejudice, and it would emanate it to that water.
Yeah.
And within 30 days, the one with love was like crystal clear. 30 days, the one with all the hate, you know where this is going. It
Murky.
was like a murky.
Yep.
Exactly. And then I ask people and I tell people this, I'm like, listen, you can do this yourself. There's studies all around the world that do this. The
Yeah.
next question I would have is when somebody's not feeling good to me, or somebody's coming in, they're not feeling well, and I would tell them this, and you're like, why are you telling me this? Like, I don't care what water does. I'm like, what percent of your body is water, my man?
Bruh.
You know, 80%, 75% water. Your water is murky. You
Yeah.
got to start changing your mindset. You know,
Dude.
it's not you don't need another pill from a doctor. Everything like we talked about this before on a spiritual level. Your muscle controlled by hormones, hormones controlled by organs, your organs are controlled by foods and thoughts that you put in your body. If you're
Mm.
not working on foods and thoughts in your body, you can do all the crunches you want, you can get all the surgeries you want, you can get all the doctors you want. It's not going to do shit.
Ain't gonna do nothing.
You're not getting to the root of the problem.
No, exactly. It's vibrational, man.
Yes.
And this is the power of gratitude. This is the science of gratitude. Its structure is on a higher vibration.
Yeah.
So let's start to look at, because I think, like, I'm digging. I love this conversation
Yes.
because it is gratitude, and also this is the science about the vibration and the hertz and the frequencies in which
Hmm.
we speak to ourselves. And we can label it as, hey, be grateful. Yet people, what it comes down to is there's a lot of ways to express this energy of gratitude. Okay, there's a lot of ways to do that. For example, I'm going to speak from the body perspective. Okay, a lot of people, like, for example, me personally, like, I suffer from body dysmorphia, right? So I don't know if it's suffer. I experience body dysmorphia.
Hmm.
So for me, it's like a lot of times when I look in the mirror, even though somebody would be like, "Yo, Paul, you looking good," I'm seeing like when I was 10-year-old kid and I had titties
Hmm.
and I had a big ass belly. I at times see that more than what's really there. So for me in that space is I choose to love my belly.
Yeah.
I'll rub it up, I'll caress it. I'm like, "Oh, you feel nice? You
Hmm.
feel nice?" Now, listen, I'm like, this is far from an endorsement for obesity. I'm saying it's like this is also about loving your body, because when you start to express love, which is an expression of gratitude for your physical form, you
Hmm.
will begin to treat your physical form differently. You follow what I'm
Yeah.
saying? you'll start to treat it differently. Like, so when I was experiencing, like, yo, I gained some weight, man. End of last year, I get put on some lbs. I was up to 220. I was like, yo, man, this is crazy. And I was beating myself up. I was like, yo, you fat, filthy fool. I was like really bad to my body, B.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, yo, man, my body's good. My heart is strong. Like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And I'm giving this as an example, people, because when you start to speak to your body in this way, your body, your chemistry, your mind will begin to give you inspiration as to things that you can do differently to take care of it. Because
Yep.
now it's like you're speaking life and gratefulness into your body.
Definitely.
Brian, you got another example? Like, because I'm
Well,
thinking
like
of,
I can kind of piggyback off what you're saying. Like when I grew up, I was a skinny. When I graduated high school, I was the same height I am now, and I weighed about 130 pounds, soaking wet.
what?
I'm 6'1". I was skinny, and so like growing. Then I was like, when I was like 19, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start like working out. Like I'm tired of being like this, like skinny, and I always like to push myself, and I like challenges.
Yeah,
So like now I'm like a couple years later, I mean I'm probably sitting around like 190,
yeah,
under 8%. But I look at myself sometimes, and I'm like, man, I'm skinny. People are coming up to me and be like, dude, you look jacked, you look lean, and you look, I don't see that. But then I'm also like on the other end, I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful, man, because I think I'm in the 1%. I'm 44 now. I'm in the 1%. Not too many people at 44 years old is sitting at 195, being about 8% body fat. Like,
bruh,
I'm happy. Like, and it's
brother.
so like, you know what? You just become happy with your body no matter what. Would I
Yep.
like to put on 20 pounds of muscle? Fuck yeah. I'd like to put on
Yeah.
20 pounds of muscle. But yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I'm content. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm that 1% of people in my age group, and that's what motivates me. When
Yes.
I'm 60, I want to be in that 1% of 60 people, 60-year-olds. You know?
Dude, you said like, but this I love this topic, man, because you know, it's this expression of what's pleasing to me in this situation. And remember we talked about that before with gratis, the root of gratitude, of grateful. What's pleasing to me in this situation? Hey man, I'm one of the few that's looking like and at where I'm at in my age range, man. Like,
Yep.
and it's this piece of which I think is also something that can help people in those spaces that are the most difficult to have gratitude. What is something in this situation that could be pleasing? And notice my language. I'm free of saying what is pleasing. I'm saying what could be pleasing because from speaking from my experience, and B, we talked about this. Speaking
Hmm.
from my experience, when I'm in a low place, I can be in a low place. I can be in a low place. So one of the things that helps me to build resiliency in those low places, like what's something that could be pleasing? And for me, I say, what's something that could be pleasing or a lesson in this? Because I love to learn, bro. And I love to
Yeah.
teach. So like a lot of my life now, when I start asking myself those questions in some difficult situations, now I'm able to like extract like, yo, man, this is pleasing because I'm able to do this for myself. Or like
Yeah.
or I learned something like, yo, I just learned that. Yo, I'm gonna bring this to my yoga class.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm able to slowly divert my energy into something else. It's like the transmutation of my situation rather than to be something in the gutter, it's more of a gift, man.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that, like, for people out there, I love to travel. And I just got back from like the Balkans. So
yeah,
much history there, man. So much history. Like going to like Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, where like less than 30 years ago they had this war, and hundreds of thousands of people were dying. Like I still go back there, and they're still trying to figure it out. I went to museums, and like it was like I get goosebumps thinking about what these people went through all day. And in a way, when my problems come up, that's why I love traveling to like crazier countries. And what I mean by crazy is not developed as like was the countries that we go to. Most people go on vacation to go to fancy places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice every once in a while, but I like going to like get in the thick of things. You know what I mean? Like trying to find like different cultures that maybe had a crazy history. So
Yep. I'm
then
right there with you, bro.
you come back and you're like, man, what? And I almost get upset with myself. I'm like, why am I bitching? Like my life, I didn't have to leave my house worried about getting, executed right there on the spot, or having a missile hit my house and killing my family. Like, dude, like, what am I complaining about? Like, stop. Like, we magnify our problems to this like crazy. I don't even know the word I'm looking for. We over. I don't even know. Again, I
Oh, it's
don't
like
know.
inflate. We inflate
Yeah,
the
exactly. We overinflate our problems to make it sound more of a problem than it actually is. And then that's another reason I like to, like, one of the things I do is I like to read a lot of books on people that have overcome adversity and see what they went through, So it makes me grateful. I'm
Yeah.
very blessed. I'm very blessed that I grew up the way I am. I'm very
Yeah.
blessed in the situation I am now.
Mm.
I'm definitely I mean, if you look around the world, like if you're making over $30,000 a year, you're in the 1% of the world,
Yeah.
of the world. You know what I mean? So like, we all make over $30,000 a year. Hopefully, you know, Matt, I think I read somewhere one time it's like a 7% chance you're actually born in America.
Oh.
So if you're not born in America, chances are, like, not all the countries, but you could be born in, say, Congo, or you can be born in Sudan, or you can be born in, into poverty. You have a whole different set of problems.
Whole new set of problems.
So if you think you have money problems now, you know,
Bro.
so I look at things. I like to read about history. I like to visit places that had a lot of history. I like to
Yeah.
read about people that overcome adversity, and it just puts life in perspective. Like, your life isn't that bad.
Right. Right. And I really appreciate what you say about putting life in perspective, which I also think is an expression of gratitude.
Yes.
Um, it's wild, man. This is so synchronous because I was listening to this podcast today at work, and this gentleman was breaking down the global wealth structure, and I thought it was so fascinating because like he was like basically like saying like, yo, like only a small percentage of the world makes over $30,000.
Hmm.
Then, like when you get over $80,000, an even smaller percentage. Then, like over 150, it's like almost like a thin rail. And I think about what we have, what's going on in our country, first world problems, right? And I think a lot of what we experience in our environment is conditioning us to think that we have to have more. We
Yes.
need more. We got to have this. So this has us getting out of the state of gratitude and really appreciating the things that we have in our life that are pleasing to us.
Yeah.
Like think about that. I- I think this is so powerful. That's why when I read the root of it, I was like, "Yo, pleasing! Wow, that
Hmm.
really impacted me, man." Like I'm like, so I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna put this out here to the folks. Whatever your situation is, right? If you're in a really like tip top space, like you're walking on sunshine, or it's like, yo, man, you're walking with the slump over like Eeyore, like, oh hey Pooh,
Hmm.
hey Pooh. I want you to take an opportunity to think about what I want you to take. I don't know why, I just love Eeyore, man.
That was awesome. That was good. uh,
Like, I want you to take this opportunity and write down. I'm only gonna have you do three things. It's not 50 things. I'm gonna have you write down three things on a piece of paper that please you in your life. Three things that please you. Okay. With those three things, I'm gonna have you write copy that list three times. Okay. You're gonna put one of those copies in your bedroom by your bed. Okay? The other list is going to be in your bathroom. Okay? The other list is going to be either in your car or on the back of your phone. Okay? And watch the magic.
I love it. Have
Watch
it in
the
front of you
magic.
the whole time. Exactly.
Bro. And it's like Emoto, man. Even if I'm walking around, I forget, man. I'm gonna pick
Mm-hmm.
up my phone. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
I'm brushing my teeth, like, yo, I can't really I gotta go do this thing at work. Oh.
I like it.
You know what I mean, man?
I like it.
Little things, bro. Little
I
things.
like it.
Let's
I
go.
like it.
Damn
I
it.
like it.
So listen, B, any last words before we wrap this up, man? Because this was
Yeah.
I love
I
this
mean,
topic.
I think Paul gave you a little homework. I'm going to give you a little homework. I think
Yeah.
next time, our world is hills and valleys, right? Next time you're in the valley and things are not looking that good, be aware that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and be grateful for that. Be aware of gratefulness. I'm sorry. Be aware of gratitude. Be grateful. At least be
Mm,
aware of it. And then when you go home later and you're having trouble sleeping, being grateful is one of the best things to put you to sleep. Like we're talking about hertz before, that's a high frequency hertz. And, and
bro.
and be grateful with your heart, man. Have it emanate from your heart. Don't just say it, have it emanate from your heart. Be more powerful. The more you're grateful towards something, the more you're going to attract it. You attract everything. We talk about vibration, or the language of our universe is vibration. Everything you say has a vibration to it. If you say something sucks, like, not to get like, into another thing, but when people say cancer sucks, that's a low vibration. Yeah, it does suck. If that empowers you, like hashtag cancer sucks, that's a low vibration. But
Right.
what about like hashtag healthy immune system? You know what I mean? You see where I'm going with this? You
Yep.
know, or
Yep.
anti-war. The word
Yep.
war has such a low vibration. What about
Peace.
pro peace?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
but we like to have this like combative language all the time. It's always good versus evil, good versus evil. And it's
Right.
more sexy.
Right. Right. It
You know what I mean?
sells the
So
t-shirts.
each word that you say has a different frequency. So choose your
Mm.
word, choose your words wisely.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm. And
Yum
so
yum.
it is. And so it is, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Bro, so lovely, man. So lovely with this, man. Like, dude, I think the next topic we want to talk, I'm like, because you said something from the heart. And the next topic I'd love for us to talk about is the power of the heart. I'm
Mm.
thinking about, there was a movie that came out. It was more like, hold on, I'm gonna like while we're here, right? The power of the heart.
Well, I've studied a lot about that. I've studied a lot about that. I could talk about
Yeah.
that for a while.
Okay. Yeah. This thing right here, man, dude, because there was a movie out. Um, and it was like, I think, no, it wasn't The Secret. It was like, yeah, The Power of a Heart. It was in 2014. It was a documentary. I thought it was so potent and powerful because it talked
Mm.
about, it's something that you said, the vibration and the eminence from the heart is so powerful that it can shift so many things for us, bro.
Yeah.
So I'd like for us to talk about that at some point going forward because I think it's important for people to understand. Like again, free of it being woo woo and everybody with the damn big heart. Yeah, like okay, great. And your heart is
Mm-hmm.
a muscle. It's powerful. It's an electric device within your body, peoples.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about this. Not now, but we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about this.
I read something, oh man, it must have been like 10, 15 years ago, how everything, right? Everything has its own hertz, everything has its own vibration. The universe, I'm sorry, the earth, we
Yeah.
have its own vibration. And at
Mm.
this in our heart has exactly the same vibration as the earth. That's not a mistake. That's
Bro.
not a mistake. It's and you can there was research on this from the Heart Math Institute. That's one of the biggest things where you guys can read up on a
Mm-hmm.
Heart Math Institute, and
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I've read, I'm not even kidding you, probably about 100 different studies off that.
Oh,
So much information that we don't even see, we don't even know
dude,
about.
it's crazy, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, people have no idea. Like I tell you, and then we'll wrap up. I remember, like when my brother was experiencing a lot of heart difficulty. Now, unfortunately, he got a heart transplant. But I remember when he was experiencing heart difficulty and like learning more about the heart and like these different devices and what really is like going on with the arrhythmias and like
Mm-hmm.
congestive heart failure. And then when they talked about these nodes and the electricity, I'm like, electricity? What are you talking about? It's flesh. They're like, nah, son. Like, this is all like,
Yeah.
this is an electric device. Like, your body is electric. And even as wild, I'm reading about, right now, I'm reading the initiation of into hermetics, and they're talking about this, like the converse relationship in different body parts between the electricity and magnetism. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? So yeah, I think we just decided our next topic.
All right.
uh, Yo, bro. And that's science too.
Yeah,
That's
man.
science
I'm
too,
ready.
bro. Let's
Love it.
go.
Let's
So P,
go.
any last words before we wrap up, man? You all set, man?
I'm set. I'm good to go, man. I'm good to go.
All right.
Leave
Listen,
comments,
people.
leave some likes, subscribe, share with people. Help us
Yeah.
out, man. Help us out.
Yeah, get this message out, especially if you found this helpful. If like you did these practices that Brian and I laid out for you, share this with another, because listen, the world can use more of this to be able to see things. If more people were able to shift their perspective on things in this world, my God, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff that's going on right now will be freaking washed away and new things will be
Oh,
ushered in. So remember
100%.
that. All right.
100%.
This is Paul and Brian, More Than Black or White. We're out of here.
Peace.